Hi everyone, this is the Scottish Silverback podcast, and I'm here with Greg Taylor and myself, Andy Scott. So we basically putting this podcast together to get the voice of Scottish Scottish bodybuilding out there a wee bit. There's not a lot of representation up here. Granted, we've got some good talent in that, but I think when it comes to British bodybuilding, the British fitness industry as a whole, I think Scotland's a wee bit left behind on that front. So yeah, we'll just see how this goes. There's nothing planned, there's no prompts, there's no nothing. So apart from questions that we've got people to ask us on Instagram, so we're just going to get it rolling and just see where it goes. So how are you doing, Greg?
Good, mate, and you?
Not too bad. It's Sunday, innit?
I realise how fucking white I am. Where's the fucking sunbeds? Just hoping.
Hey, look at me. Fucking.
It's really bright. You just look like that anyway.
I've got like all that ring light as well, it's making it a billion times worse as well. So it is what it is. So,
mate, did you put that sword there?
No, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
No, it is. Right. So if you look down, that's all. I don't know if you can see that. That's all like the third places in that. And like
mate, there's gathering dust. Stick them somewhere.
I've got nowhere to put them. It's a one-bedroom flat.
I thought the fucking sword swinging from the ceiling. How's your training been?
You go first.
I think training's been going quite good. I think like this is the longest time in my life I've not picked up a bad injury, so I think I'm actually doing quite well. Yeah, obviously different. A little bit of training's been different. A lot more heavy stuff, but I mean that's why I'm quite surprised I haven't really picked up an injury. Usually when I'm trying to push weight up and try and push the load, usually pick up an injury somewhere, but I'm feeling pretty fresh. Try to get my massages in once a week. Try to really focus more on the sets, on form. So it's been helping a lot. How about yourself?
Because you've definitely kind of like tightened up on your form and all that, haven't you? Recently.
Yeah, I think it's like we spoke about the other day. I think it's just really trying to visualize your set and you want the execution to be perfect. I mean, like we know this on in the game. If you want to really develop that muscle even further with heavy load, you need to have the perfect form doing so, because you need to have the muscle contraction going right through the motions.
Yeah, definitely.
What about yourself?
Yeah, everything's gone good. So I was on a 4-week deload, starting. Patrick and I agreed to deload from the first week of February to the first week of March. So that was a 4-week deload where I stripped everything back, took out all the clusters and the drops and all that sort of stuff, and I was still doing a body part split, but the volume was right down, so I was only doing one working set per exercise. So like chest and shoulders would take me about like 30 minutes. It was a bit of a relief because, like, as you know, like when sessions are hour plus, it starts to get a bit monotonous and that sometimes. So it was good to get a wee break from that. But that's me back to a little like moderate volume training. I'm not full pelt like SST all over the place. You know, it's moderate just now. So, but it's going good.
A big change, obviously, going from some of the really high volume sessions going to that. That's like a night and day difference.
I know, and but it was needed. Like I think we ran that program since the start. What was that? Maybe start of November. I done a small deload in December. So it's been a fair time. I've been like pushing at that one.
Yeah.
So it was needed. Like so.
How would you say your body looks going from week 1 to week 4? Obviously, doing such less volume. Would you say it's improved, or would you say it's stayed quite the same?
Well, I came off everything as well in that 4-week period.
Yeah, true.
So, but in relation to that, though, I still think I held like my size, my fullness really well.
Yeah.
And like my strength was good. Like it was, I maybe lost like a rep or two here and there, but it was nothing like catastrophic. And also,
how hard are you pushing in your one set?
I get like we spoke about earlier today. Like I gave myself a bit more time to recover between sets, so that was a big factor as well. But it was more like the pumps are just nowhere near the same. No. So like the kind of enjoyment factor in the sessions isn't quite there. But the fact I'm just getting in and out, that made it a lot easier on that front. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, it was needed. So I think we should give a bit of background as to who we actually are, just in case someone.
Yeah, just in case there's some new people that don't actually know us. Yeah, big idea.
Across the podcast. So you go first.
God. Well, from Aberdeen, 31. Obviously been training in the gym for, I would say, like 8 to 10 years, but I wouldn't say I've picked up bodybuilding seriously until like maybe the last 5 years. And I think 2 years ago, done my first bodybuilding show, which was the PCA Scottish. Won my class, won the overall. Was obviously coached by yourself. Then 2 weeks later, we both competed in the PCA UK, and so it's probably a very memorable show and moment for us both. It was obviously great in the overall just to be us two. I think it was quite a cool moment to have. And then last year, I think I had my heart set on just wanting to do more, regardless of everything that went on with COVID and everything getting cancelled. I just kept prepping and prepping. Eventually, I did make it to the Two Bros British Final, which was in September. Got a third out of 15 guys. So regardless of everything went on, I'm still super pleased to walk away with that. And obviously this year, I want to obviously take that to the next level. I want to win a pro card. Obviously, I was aiming for that last year, but things just didn't work out. Obviously, the best it could have been, but this year I'm kind of hoping to do that and to walk away with a pro card.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's definitely on the cards. No pun intended for the both of us at one point. So,
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from Aberdeen as well. I'm 21. No, I'm 28.
21.
I've been competing since I was 19. Started training at 16 in an attempt to kind of get bigger for a different position, playing rugby, and then realised that I preferred being in the gym by myself, lifting weights. So done my first show at 19, the NABA Scottish in 2012, and then done a UKBFF show 4 weeks later, and then won that one. I came second in the first one. And then fucking now since then, it's been a long road of the 3 biggest titles I've won have been the UKBFF Junior British, which is the same title as Flex Lewis and Nathan D'Asha. They've won that in their career. And I won the NABA Britain in 2019, and then the PCA Britain in 2019 as well. So, but there's also been a lot of lows, which you obviously know about. I've come third, second, plenty of seconds and thirds. I've not placed, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster up until this point. But I think
your junior years were obviously a massive stepping point for when you stepped out. You went on and done absolutely amazing. And then I think the years after that, you really needed to find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It was when you stepped into obviously the bigger boy classes. I think it was a bit of a finding your feet for you, like trial and error of like running through prep, things maybe not turning out how you wanted in the final weeks, and the look wasn't what you hoped for. And then like obviously 2019, you found your feet, and it was really, you presented the best of yourself, and everything turned out great.
Honestly, mate, what I did, I just stopped messing about. I stopped messing about in that last week, just like fanning about with things.
All these tips and things people think is miracles, magical tricks, and there really isn't. There maybe is, but I mean, like, trying to trial an error on a client or on somebody, the chances of that pulling it off are very slim to none.
Aye. So like you said, it just took me a time. I think I can't explain kind of the waves in terms of like placings. Well, I can with some scenarios, but I think like you said, a lot of it was like trying different things and as my career's gone on, like I've just kept it simpler and simpler and simpler. Across all fronts, across all aspects. And like, it's funny when you have like a client who, reads something online, comes to you and says, why aren't we doing this? And you're like, I've done that, mate. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? And it's quite good to be in that position of being able to say that with authority. Not authority, that's the wrong word, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, just the experience of having, like, you've been there and done that is good to, I mean, that's what I think a lot of clients should look from the coaches, like people that have the experience of being there, done that, they've tried and errored stuff, they've walked away with failures. Failures is the biggest thing you should look for in a coach. Like, they've been there, they've fucked up, and they've also came away, and they've also won. They've also came away and like seen what their mistakes were and like come back from it and done better. That's things you should look for in coaches. Not people think because they look good just now. I mean, that's great. Anybody can do that, but I mean, like, once you've got to that point of you've reached the end, it's fucking easy to fail, and that's the things you'll learn from.
I think I might as well tell the story of like my biggest fuck up. So
Arnold.
It was. I got an invite to the Arnold Classic in Madrid at the time to compete in the junior class, and I won't obviously go through it. But at 4 weeks out, I moved to Glasgow, and then just spiraled out of control. I couldn't stop binging. You know, it was just a fucking nightmare. And then got to Madrid, and Blessing Adu was in my class. Like we all know now, like Instagram sensation and that pro. So standing next to him, looking like a bag of shite, that was horrific. Like that hurt my ego bad. And I think I've told you before, but when I left like the arena, I phoned Sean, who we both know, and I was like, I'm never stepping foot in a gym ever again. I'm never ever competing ever again. And since then, I've never cheated on my diet ever. I've never, in my opinion, left like any gas in the tank in a session. Never cheated. Just kept my mind just solid. And but it took a massive failure like that to make me realize just you know, just what I need to do. So that's pretty heartbreaking. But at the same time, you got to go through that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously that kind of level of competition, and where you obviously have to travel like a good bit to be there. It's not the place you want that to happen. You'd rather have that a little bit closer to home. But I mean, how much you probably learned from that experience, and how much you would not go near like those mistakes again is obviously something that will stay with you. So good to kind of also said.
Yeah. I mean, before I went on stage,
are something you want to learn from.
Yeah, totally. I mean, whilst I was walking on stage, right, there was a photographer there that I was supposed to do a shoot with the next day, and he was taking shots of the show. And as I was going on stage, he looked at me and went, "What have you done?" And I was like, "Ah, cheers, mate. That's exactly what I wanted to hear before I went on stage." Oh. I was like, "I look like a bag of dicks," and it's something I never ever want to relive. I hate reliving it in my mind. I hate talking about it. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's all part of the game, innit? So
yeah.
The good thing is that we got tons of questions sent to both of us. So what we're going to do in this podcast, like probably most podcasts, is just read out questions from our followers on Instagram and social media. So what I'll do is I'll kick off with one. Right. In bodybuilding, what one thing do people put the most focus on that actually matters the least?
Fuck.
I thought it was a hard one.
I can't really pinpoint. There's loads of little things, but Canal. That's quite a tough one, actually. I think food timing, like being that precise. Like I need to have that meal at 4, I need to have that meal at 2, I need to have that meal at 12, whatever. Like you could be off. Like obviously you can be regimented. It's great being regimented, but I think like having your day set out that precise, it loses something from the enjoyment factor. Like just be a little bit less carefree. Like some nights, like on my last meals could stagger like 3 hours between each. Like I could some night maybe have my meal at 7, I might not have it till fucking 9:30. Just depends. It will make a bit of difference.
Yeah.
But it's just like when I can be asked getting it in.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that one. Even at our level or my level, like yeah, I do usually have my meals at the same time every day, but if it moves, if it shifts, it's not a big issue. You know, you don't have to get all, you know, allow your anxiety and your stress to rise with that one. So meal timing is definitely a big one. Matters the least. That is fucking hard. And also, see when you're being recorded as well, it feels like it takes 10 times longer to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's little things you can say, but I mean, they do matter in a sense. But I mean, it is a very tough one.
Yeah.
There's just so many little things, but it's not like one I can like 100% pinpoint. It's like it doesn't matter.
I know it does all matter.
Yeah,
I think because I don't want to put my foot in it either. Where I've told a client
no,
that
that's exactly what I'm trying to not say. Like when someone's just like, "Oh, that does matter," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't really want to say that."
Aye. I think we'll leave it at meal timings for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a hard question. I thought I'd start off on a belter. So, who would win in a 100-meter sprint? Me or you?
Well, do you actually know I used to be in the British squad when I was in school?
Mm-hmm.
I think my fastest 100-meter time is 10:09.
10:09.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, no, right, okay.
It was like 10:09 or around about 11 seconds. I think I'd done that when I was running up in Aberdeen. I would have been, how old was that? 18, 19?
Aye, Jesus.
Yeah. I was a very quick sprinter, honestly, but I think I could run a bath now. Fucking struggle, like. I reckon if I went outside and started sprinting, I would probably pull a hammy.
Mm-hmm. Aye, or tear it. Aye, 100%.
It'd be so fucking tight. As soon as I shot off, it would just rip.
I stopped 11 years ago. That was literally the last time I'd have sprinted. So 100%.
Last time I sprinted was when I done my PT course outside. They put the fucking parachute on your back and told you to sprint to the end of the rugby field. It felt like a right fanny.
Oh mate, you should have got a video of that in class.
I wasn't fucking putting that out there.
Worst advice you've ever been given? I don't know if that's like bodybuilding or life or whatever, but we'll keep it with bodybuilding.
We'll stick with bodybuilding.
Aye.
You've probably had some good ones, like. I don't want to name names, but what about the Arnold Classic one?
Well, I didn't have a pair of eyes on me in that prep. It was just me, so I wasn't getting a second opinion on anything.
Well, what about the guy, obviously, in the last weeks that was meant to come with you?
Aye, that wasn't advice.
Some bad advice.
Aye, that wasn't. Aye, it was It was good advice from someone who told me not to listen to him, but I did. So, but no, I was thinking more. I wasn't told to, but you know, the Beef magazine. Yeah, they had a carb depletion thing in that for like the week before the show. It was like 4 days depletion, 3 days carb load. It was horrific. I was still flat by the end of it. I got into water depleting and all that towards the end. It was just like, looking back, it was just the dumbest thing ever. But because I was like, Graham Park was helping me, but at the same point, I was still kind of doing my own thing, trying to like just figure stuff out. And I followed that, and that was ridiculous.
My worst, I remember fucking telling you. I remember doing it, thinking.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, fuck.
That's it.
I really just want to say because I wanted it, but I remember like a week out from my shows earlier on, the WBFF. I was watching somebody who was competing in it, and they were like a week out. They'd fully depleted. I mean, you see me a day before when I was doing my video shoot, and I was like so fucking lean, but so flat. And he was like doing the same, and he was like, "Go have 2 Domino's large pizzas." I was like, "Fucking right." And I'd done that, and I felt awful. And I remember seeing his post the next day, and he looked dynamite. I don't know what the hell he'd done different, or if he even had them. But I remember I was just so uncomfortable, full, and then I didn't like dry out as it was meant to, and I felt like that week I was just. It just didn't do its process of what I wanted to do. I mean, I remember just saying, I was like, I want two Domino's pizzas a week. I've been dieting hard. I want it. And that was just a big mistake for me. And I remember telling you, and you were like, that was stupid. I was like, oh, we'll wait and see. I'll look good.
I remember you sent me that message, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake.
I think it was actually after I had it, so you couldn't stop me.
I know. But yeah, you live and learn. I mean, obviously that's not direct advice, but I think with the both of us though, it's hard. The bad advice is a hard one because we've both listened to people who know their shit and have you know, what's the word? like tested everything, and they've competed a million times and all that. So I think we've been very lucky in terms of like the people we've listened to over the years, apart from like the odd wee bit. And it also says like the best advice you've ever been given. What would you say is that one?
You know what? The best, like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's advice. I would say it's kind of been more thrusted on me now. Like, obviously, I've listened to you for a lot of the years, and you probably took some stuff off me as well. But I mean, I was my own worst enemy. I don't think I rested enough.
Yeah.
My recovery and rest would have just been shit, because I just love training. I just love, I mean, like, that's a lot of bodybuilders' problems. Like, there's probably guys who are well experienced pros and they fucking train 6 times a week. They do 4 sets of whatever reps, like shit tons of reps. Their recovery will just not be there. But they've done that for years and years, and they just can't change. I mean, when I was obviously 25, 26, my recovery was probably shit hot. I could fucking go into that every day, tons of reps, felt great the next day. And now I'm like, I can't do that. Like, my joints are just not there. I don't recover because the weights have increased more. So now, obviously, I'm doing like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. And my recovery's been great, and my strength has just went through the roof. So as much as like you probably said, like, you need to rest more than that, I was like, I just didn't want to. I wanted to. Now I'm just like, I just thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go, and it's worked well for me now. I'm in my older years,
wiser years,
like, prove better. So I wouldn't say it's the advice. It's something's been more thrusted on me recently, and it's took me so long to learn it, and I fucking hate I've wasted so much time doing what is. But like you've said, live and learn.
You look pretty good regardless. So but I know what you mean.
I mean, like, I've been very lucky to be able to recover and grow how I have. But I mean, I think now it's just going to be better for me, my joints and everything, just my muscles in general.
Yeah, probably best advice for me would. It's pretty boring, but I was told, like, obviously just to be like super patient with it. Don't force your body to do anything. Don't force it. There are points where you push too hard, and that's across all fronts. That's across training, nutrition, supplementation. You know, that can spiral. I've been many cases where the Arnold story, which we told at the start of the podcast, like, that was a case of doing too much and not being patient with the diet. Like, I was sitting at like 300 grams of carbs, getting lean. Sessions were still perfect. Like, logbook was still good, but I was like, nah, I need to do 0 carbs. I need 0 carbs now at like 8 weeks out. So by the time I got to 4 weeks out, and being in an uncomfortable situation of moving cities, I was in that place where I was like, it ended up in a binge cycle, and just that kind of spiraled out of control. So yeah, just the simple one of just being, I remember Graham saying that to me. Well, I must have been about 19 at the time, 18, 19. And he was just like, don't force it. And he told me not to listen to a certain someone that we both know. I'll tell you after. And I said, just be patient with it. Like, it might not happen the first time, 3rd time, 4th time, 10th time, but if you love it and just keep going, it will eventually come. So be it physique, placings, whatever. So
I think that's pretty much nearly everybody's thing. Like, the one, obviously everybody wants to see things happen quick, but patience is just not there for people. When they see stuff on the net, like, fucking hell, this guy done this in 6 weeks, fucking hell, that guy got that in 4 weeks, like, that's not, it might not happen for you. You might not be that responsive. Like, not everybody's like that. Like, even us might not be like that. Somebody's just very lucky they've got there in 4 weeks. It might just work for them. But people want results in a week. Like, they want to see drop like half a stone in a week. They want to see their belly gone. They want abs in a week. And it's like, and if they don't see it in that time, you're telling, like, you need to be patient. You need to, like, give this time. You need to do it properly. You need to do it healthily. So I think that's people's biggest problem. They just want stuff quick. I mean, but that was probably our problem as well. We wanted to see things happen super quick. And it's just, it's not like that.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Would you rather do men's physique? Oh, you have done men's physique. I won't ask that one. Would you rather be 5 foot or 7 foot?
5. I know you would say 7.
Aye, 100% 7. Why would you want to be 5?
Because you'd be stacked to fucking like compress all your joints together. It'd just be fucking round as shit.
I don't know. I think 7 foot's more impressive.
Aye, but you wouldn't be able to bodybuild.
Maybe not, but
I'd like a sore thumb. You'd probably be a strong man.
Aye, be something mad. No, I'd rather be 7 foot. I don't want to be a midget. No offense to any 5 footers out there.
I don't know if 5 foot's quite small. Nah, I think I'd go for 7 foot. I think I'd go for 7 foot.
I thought I'd convince you.
Five's way too small.
I don't even think my mum's 5 foot. She's tiny.
Five's way too small.
If you could only listen to one song while training for the rest of your career, what would it be?
Shania Twain.
What?
Shania Twain. I'm joking.
I don't know. I already know this.
One song while you train.
I think that's what he said. Let me check. Yeah, while you train. Like my song's not even like one that I listen like would be training. It would be life in general.
Oh, so it's not while you train.
No, the question's while you train, but I'd listen to it while I train, while I don't train, while I'm sitting in the park. I don't know. So, like obviously, you know, I'm a massive heavy metal fan.
Yeah.
And so Slipknot on my plague. Like,
I'm not sure I could just like sit on my sofa, like just like.
I do dishes listening to heavy metal. Got my earbuds on that, just doing like all the dishes and that.
No way. Nah, I don't know if I could just sit on my sofa, like with not on my phone, just sitting there listening to Slipknot player.
100%, mate. Ask Reagan. I've done it a billion times. I do it all the time.
I think if there is a 5 Finger Death Punch songs, I'd probably listen to it in the gym if I'd be one.
Question Everything's brilliant. That's one of my favourite songs that they do.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Questions. Do you exhaust any body parts or straight to compounds whilst fresh? I think pre-exhaust have a place. But I wouldn't say to everybody to do it. I think maybe if you suffer from bad knees, I think pre-exhausting sometimes on like leg extensions.
Yeah.
Or if you've got like a little bit of an injury, I think it'd be good if you went to squat after that. Everyone's really warmed up, the joints is really good, and you're not going to be pushing the same weight as you would when you're fresh. So I think that would have a time and place.
Yeah, I think you've also got, I'm sure you've got clients as well where they'll complain about the knees caving in while they squat or while they hack or whatever. So in my opinion, like the best way to kind of help with that, it's not one of the only methods, but it's one method I like to do is getting the adductors full of blood. So doing like 2-3 sets, 15 to 20 reps of adductor prior to kind of any squatting work. I find that's really effective. So pre-exhaust definitely has its place, like you said there. For myself, it depends on the body part. So shoulders are my weakest body part. So, and I need more width and I need more rear delt. So currently I'm doing rear delts first, but I am doing 2 all-out heavy sets. Now, if that's prior to a compound and you consider that a pre-exhaust, then fair enough. So technically, that could be in someone's book as a pre-exhaust. I have done specific pre-exhaust work for like my chest. So I would do maybe 2 sets of cable flies, 15 to 20 reps, and then I would jump into an incline dumbbell or a decline barbell press. So yeah, I think it's...
Yeah, I've done pre-exhaust on leg extensions for years. I wouldn't say I'd go to like failure, but I'd go to until like they've got a pump, blood's certainly through them, and then I'd do my stuff. And I would say it's always worked for me. Now, I've always done that as a squat, but now my leg press is first. So it doesn't hurt my knees as much, so it's not something I do. I save myself all out for them.
Yeah.
So it's doing that first. It's definitely helped a lot. I would say for my knees, I don't feel my knees as much on the first sets. Yeah.
I found recently, in the last split that I was doing, I was squatting first, barbell squatting, and I just felt so powerful doing that. And I would do leg extensions like 4th or 5th. So it is a tool you can definitely use it. It definitely works regardless of like the mechanism that you do, whether you do high reps or it's actual sets like the way I do for my shoulders and that. So yeah,
I think obviously if you do go in and do like your heavy moves first, like don't just fucking walk in and do your heavy moves. Jesus Christ, like go and like what you're saying, like go through some leg extension work, go through a few seated curls, the duck curls. Don't go anything like failure. Don't do anything crazy. Just a good couple sets each, get the blood flowing around, and then go and do your squats. You probably won't have lost any rep, but everyone's warm, everyone's good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that's a massive like pre-exhaust buckling yourself, but it's a good way to go first about it. Just really get everyone warm and ready.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. What was that one again? There's the one I said to you: take first place at Olympia but no prize money, or take last but get 10 million.
So in both scenarios, you're in the Olympia.
I would take first with no money because you've just won. You're going to get money elsewhere anyway. You don't have to win the prize money, but there's probably going to be, well, you're probably sponsored, so it's not like you really need the money, but I mean, you're going to live down the history books as winning the Olympia.
Yeah, I'm sure the boys that have won it would tell you it's more than money, but at the same time, you know, last place they get 10 million. I've been last place before. You know, 10 million would have been quite nice.
I mean,
definitely softened the blow anyway.
Obviously, you need to see it as a job, but I'm not in it for the money. I mean, I'm past that. Like, I'm in it to win.
Expensive.
I'm in it to win. You wouldn't, if you were going to Olympia and aiming just for the money, for like the prize money at first, I mean, fuck, you're in it. You've won it for the wrong thing. I mean, you want to win the Mr. Olympia. You want to win the title. You want to be in the history books as being one of them.
Yeah.
So definitely I would take the first. You're going to get money elsewhere.
Obviously, the money's amazing in that, but like, I'm sure no athlete does their sport for the money. None. No. Like, ones that are wired properly and ones that are at that kind of level. I've done this with no money. I've done this with minus 1,000 in my bank account and that, and it's purely that the love of doing it. So, but no, 10 million would be nice. I'd take that. Who's your biggest bodybuilding influence apart from me?
As in like personally, or just like who you look up to?
No, you don't have to know them personally, just anyone.
I wouldn't say I've got like just one person I really look up to. A tough one. I think there's physiques I look up to, but it's not like I watch all their shit or like I'm obsessed with them. It's just like, fuck, like they're good. I'd love to look like that. Fuck, that's tough. Don't know why. I think just honestly my favourite physique of all time is Jason Hull. It's just a nasty, awesome, aesthetic, big monster. He just had it all. Such a shame he fucking stopped early.
Yeah. For me, I'm sure people who follow me or have heard this fucking a million times, but Graham Park and Nick Vandal are probably my two. Graham kind of steered me in the right way, kept me on that kind of path that we spoke about earlier about just, you know, seeing things through, and he helped me a lot. Don't get me wrong, there's people throughout this that have helped me from start to finish.
He was a very good mentor for you at the start. Yeah,
he was definitely the right person to get into it. And then obviously I started working with Nick in 2015 as a junior, and still to this day, like, Nick is definitely like one of the first people I'd go to if I had a question or a query. So he's just like my current coach, Patrick, very blunt, just to the point, do this, here's what I think, that's shite, whatever. And that's, he's been a big influence on me as well. So, and there's been other, obviously, like you said, there's been physiques and that I look up to, and I think Ant Bales probably comes high up on that list as well of people.
Like the British godfather of bodybuilding.
I trained with him in 2019. That was like a big dream come true. So yeah, definitely those are my three. So
yeah, I think we've both been a bit of a Dorian fan. Obviously, like he is the man of British bodybuilding, and always probably will be. It'd be very hard to beat him. He started everything. He kind of made a name for British bodybuilding. So I think we're both big fans of him, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Have you got another one?
Best off-season approach for someone with a fast metabolism: keep it tidy or push body weight.
I would consider myself.
I would say we're both got fairly quick metabolisms. Like we both have our calories quite high. We can go through food. I hate it when people seem to think they've got like this incredible metabolism and like no amount of food they eat is enough. Like that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. You just don't want to put that much food in your body. It's as simple as that. Nobody wants to put that much food in their body, trust me. When people like, how many clients have you had saying, "Oh, I can't eat enough food," and they'll show you their diet, and you're like, like my first 2 meals combined, it's like nothing. And just like they can't fathom how much food you possibly need to eat. It's monotonous, and it's like every day, every week, every month, all year, every year to get to a high level. Like they can't fathom that. So I honestly just think you need to push the clean food. Like once you've put enough, obviously your protein needs to set. I like to keep protein at 1.5 grams per pound body weight. Carbs push as high as you could probably put yourself into a composition. Like carbs obviously need to be high, but I think if you try and push them to like absolute limits, like you're going to be very uncomfortable. So I think when you get to a nice carb limit, like just crank those fats up high. That's what's going to get the calories in. And like you can't, like that's like going to slow your burning process down. So you just need to find that balance of carbs and then just keep cranking those fats until your weight starts to climb.
I take it the person meant push weight as in like eating shy.
Well, they're probably saying the metabolism's so fast they can't put on weight, so they just want to eat crap to put weight on. So if you're a beginner, eat crap. Like, yeah, get some crap in you. I mean, it's probably going to do you no harm if you're working that hard in the gym. But if you're at like years deep and you think like having a shitty off season with crap food is going to work, it's not.
No. And also, if you're 5-10 years deep and you're smashing like cheats and shite and that on top, like your health's going to decline as well, not just your physique. So I've done both. I'm currently probably, well, not right now because I've dropped down weight over the past 5 weeks, but I was 273 and pretty lean, had full abs. I've never been in that condition before, and that's completely clean, no cheats, nothing. I can honestly count on my hand, apart from Christmas, count in one hand how many cheats I had last year since starting with Pashak. But I've also done the flip side where I've crammed in cheats almost every day, every other day, to complete disregard for how I look. I could not have cared less. I just chased
that scale number.
Yeah, and like you said, like I've got a pretty fast metabolism. Like we both carb up in our last week on thousands of grams of carbs per week. You know, we've got pretty mental metabolism. So yeah, and even then I got fat. So chasing scales, I've learned the hard way. I do think though that there was a place for what I did between 2015 and 18 to get up into the misters. I did get fat and I did get quite fluffy as well. And I was pushing calories, I was pushing cheats. But I don't see myself doing that again. Like you said, at this level, I think that'd be a bad move on my part.
Even at this level, you don't want to see yourself in that kind of condition. As much as you want to grow, as much as you want, even now, even we know we still want to see the scales go up. But we assess how we look as well. We're not just stepping on the scales every morning going, fuck yeah, I'm pound up. Like, I need to see if that's pound is be damaging to my look, or does I still look quite the same as I did a pound down. That's great. That's what I want. I want to see myself going up in weight while keeping quite good condition.
Yeah. I said, Patrick was like, in my last check-in, he was like, right, we've got 2 months 2 months off season. Sorry, 2 months off season. So basically, it was kind of like, let's get to it. And I was like, hashtag road to 300 pounds. And he said, fuck that, road to pro card. So that's obviously his outlook on things. So Patrick's not one for chasing weight. He doesn't, to be honest, I'm pretty sure I don't even need to send my weight. I just send him photos, and he just guides me from there. So yeah, it depends where you are. I think, like you said, if you're a beginner, chasing scales, it's a good motivation tool. But as you become more knowledgeable and you become more experienced, you realise that should take a back seat, and your performance and your look should definitely kind of take the
I mean,
front seat.
like, obviously you've probably seen all the stuff, obviously, with like the guys putting their scale weight, and it's like everyone's like bullshit. You've probably seen all the shit over the line. So like I said, it's cool. I mean, it's fucking cool to see like the numbers you're getting up to, like, oh shit, like it's the heaviest I've been and so on. But if it doesn't comply with how you look, it doesn't matter, because you're going to have to take off more fat. And trust me, if you're fat before you start dieting, fuck, that's going to suck, that prep. Like, you'd have to just diet harder. It's not fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you just wish you never had that shit.
When my heaviest was 294, and I was a bad 294. I was a bad 294. But I just wanted to get to 300. I wanted to brag about being 300 pounds. But those days are gone doing that in that way. If I got to 300 pounds on clean food, fair enough. But
yeah.
So
all eating.
Aye. My client Jason's asking if we're making more silverback content, and the answer is 100% yes. So it's
going through one of my sessions.
Yeah, so Greg's going to put me through one of his sessions, one of Jordan Peters' sessions. As soon as the gym's open, we'll get that booked and get that filmed. So that should be good.
You can either have back or legs. You can decide.
Whatever you want to do, mate. I'm all ears. Spring it on me on the morning. That'll be fun.
Have a pull off or a squat off.
I'll be in both anyway.
Like you see you do stiff deads.
What?
Like you see you do the stiff deads.
Yeah. I need to try them. I haven't even done them yet.
Yeah, you can give them a try and see.
Have you got any more questions there? I have got a few more questions, but they're very just like, what are we doing type thing.
Best tips for working around injuries to still get activation.
Okay, well, the worst injury I've had is a bicep tear in the belly of the bicep. So like my right bicep, there was no deformity to the muscle at all. It's like, of my physios have like dug proper deep into the bicep, and they're like, after tons and tons of digging, you can find like the small tear. So that, what happens is on my forearm and my brachialis, they like take a lot of the tension that the bicep should be getting, because the bicep over time becomes too tight just from protecting the injury. So I have to work around that quite a bit. The number one is just finding exercises that work with the injury. That's number one for me. If you have a bicep tear, avoid underhand rowing. That's like number one. I don't do any underhand rowing. I'm not going to do an underhand barbell. I'm not going to do an easy bar row. I'll do some cable stuff like pull downs and that. I don't feel it. It's fine. But sometimes when I'm just like going that a little bit further, like if I'm doing like a cluster set like we did last year, towards the end of that, my bicep was feeling it and I was starting to get sore. So yeah, definitely exercise selection is number one for me. I
always think there's a way to go around it. I mean, there's even like, say, like you've got like your hack squat, you can Smith squat, you can squat, you can safety bar squat. There's so many squats. Like each one of them will hit me different, and like put your body in a position that's going to be, well, say some way put your back in a bit more of a strain, so put your knees in a bit more of a strain. So many, like your hips. So pick one that obviously is going to be the least activation to wherever the sore area is. Like when I partly tore my ACL last year, obviously I took like 6 weeks off squatting. I just couldn't. I could still train my hamstrings, but I couldn't do any quad related stuff. When I went back, what I found was leg press didn't feel a thing, but I couldn't squat like 20 kilo aside on the hack squat. I couldn't even bend my knees. It just felt like it was killing it, but I could fucking load 500 kilo on the leg press. But it was hitting them completely different. So all I done was sets of leg press. There's still going to be ways around it. Obviously, that's a lucky scenario, but I mean, like if you've got a rotator cuff tear, there's going to be exercises you're going to have to probably miss out. There's going to be other ones you could probably do that's not going to activate it as much, or you could just lighten the load. You could focus more time under tension, strip back to basics, start going through like your perfect form. It could be a time just to reset your movement.
I still made progress in my biceps and my arms with that injury. So that was through just changing the load and just working on the technique and more on the execution. So I still do it to this day. I don't dumbbell curl anything more than 15s. There's no point in me doing it. I just don't feel it in the bicep at all. I feel it all through the brachialis or through the front shoulder. And I've measured my arms, but my arms have grown a lot since that injury 5 years ago. So it's you just have to play about with things, and you have to just analyze your technique, definitely strip back like the weight and build that technique back up with a new weight. That's definitely what I would do in terms of any injury.
I don't dumbbell curl at all. I don't feel a thing. But I'll feel hammer curls amazing. Maybe just how my muscles are positioned different, but I can contract hammer curls, but I can't contract dumbbell curls. It just feels like a swing, and it just feels like such a load on the bottom of a bicep, and there's no contraction when I'm at peak. But if I do with cable curls, I'll feel it all the way through.
100%. I'm the same with cables.
Exercise selection and just everything, just it really depends.
Best gym you've been to? It says we've both been to, but we've both been to different gyms. So, and the best gym kit or best gym brand. I trained at the original Temple gym when that was still open. That was like that. The original Temple gym was a shithole. Like you were clatty from start to finish, and you left. You had to shower like 3 times by the time you got back to your house and that. So
that's amazing.
It was the atmosphere and just knowing where you were. That for me was the best gym in terms of atmosphere. And Bales's gym, I went, oh man, see if I could prep out of there. That'd be dynamite. That place was just like perfect. The original Max Muscle, not Ultraflex. I've not been to any of the Ultraflexes.
I think Ultraflexes would be just the most perfect gym to be at. As much as there's some cool gyms in the world, like all their stuff's hand-picked, there's everything. And there's like not just one hack squat, there's like 3 hack squats, all different brands, hand-picked. I think they are obviously the best gyms, hands down.
We had this in the discussion of the Zoom call that I didn't record.
I think Muscleworks is going to be a cool one. We'd both love to go to.
In Orpington. But obviously Dubai's got this like kind of rep just now of just being that place to go and bodybuild and train. And I was obviously there in January and half of February, and it is good. But in terms of like the British scene, we're on par. The only difference is the weather. It's a better environment in terms of the weather. Like it's nice coming out from a gym session into like 30 degrees in the sun. Your recovery is definitely 10 times better when you're getting more vitamin D. That's what makes the gyms better over there. But in terms of equipment setup, like we're not being beaten. So, but
I think obviously the areas as well. I think, like obviously, I would say you'd probably train at the best gym in Scotland. And that's obviously very fortunate. But like other than that, it's very tough to pinpoint like amazing gyms in Scotland.
Yeah.
England's spoiled. I would say England's very spoiled and lucky with all the gyms they've got, and that's just purely down to people opening gyms and just taking a leap into ordering amazing kit and opening like fantastic gyms. No one does that up here.
Yeah, I think Scotland is still behind the rest of the UK in terms of like the fitness scene and how it's moving. It is moving and progressing, and more people are getting involved in fitness and, you know, hiring personal trainers and competing and all that. But we're still behind England. I don't know if that's like the Scottish culture and Scottish social life isn't that different to English culture, so it's you can't pinpoint it on the fact that Scottish people like going out drinking and eating shite, and you know what I mean. So it's something.
I think it's just because it's already there. I think obviously, like as you're saying, like English culture of us, like the sports scene is there. So like people see it more, they're around it, so they can get involved in it easier. Whereas here it's not there. You need something to just like to throw these amazing gyms here, there, and everywhere, and have more people competing. Then I would say it would just be as big. It would spread. It's contagious in a way. It's just like they're not doing it. There's not the amazing gyms, so people don't. I mean, they keep going to Pures. I mean, that's what there is. There's no these amazing like independent gyms. So that's why things hold us back.
Yeah, it is a shame. But like you said, like you need someone with enough money to start. It's not cheap. Like, you know, I obviously know the owner of Future Fitness quite well, and he's told me how much he spent on kit, and it's mind blowing. So if you want a gym to be next level, like rival like Ultraflexes and that, like you have to obviously lay down a lot of cash. So, but I do think it is moving in a positive direction. I do think Scotland is kind of coming up a wee bit. It's not as fast as England, and but I think we are kind of moving at a good pace. But that's the number one reason why people aren't opening these gyms up here. So it is a shame, but for that,
I've spoken to people who want to open a gym, and like they'll show you the unit. I'm like, it's a bit small. Like, this is the kit I'm thinking. I was like, kit's garbage. And it's like, you're not going to be anything. Oh, but it's going to cost me this much. I was like, well, you need to spend this much and it'll be good. You just have to fucking go all in. Like, you really need to, if you want something to obviously work like that. You can't just like pot about and say, I'm only going to spend this because I'm not sure. Like, you better be fucking sure, and you go spend the money on the kit and it'll attract people.
That's exactly what I said to Jason. I was like, even people who aren't bodybuilders who just go to the gym, they know that hammer strength is better than the crap kit in Pure. They know, and they'd rather train with that kit.
And if you don't, then you just don't come to the gym. But I mean, you can feel the difference. It's night and day. It's worth the money.
Yeah. Right, let's try another question. So Darren asked us to do a pose by pose comparison, but I'm not going to do that.
Get my kegs off now.
No. No, we'll see what happens later this year. We'll do it then.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, the goal for both me and Greg is to compete in the Amateur Olympia in October. We both obviously have to qualify, which hopefully that happens for the both of us. So, but that's the goal. So, just in case anyone didn't know. Have you got any other questions?
One or two.
Oh, most overhyped bodybuilder and most underrated bodybuilder. I don't know if that's world, Britain, or whatever, but
just do history.
Yeah, I'll do history. Yeah, that's fine.
Underrated. That's going to be a tough one.
I think I know my underrated one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sass.
Yeah, fuck. Definitely. I just think he's done enough.
I know, but like he's not active in as well.
He blew up like when he won. It was just like amazing. He blew up the British scene, and then obviously he's not been doing much since. It's like his name's just faded. But
yeah,
when people know him, then you know he's fucking good. He's just not spoken about.
He's quite quiet and all that as well. And
yeah, he's not
like social media and that.
Fuck yeah, he's good.
That's my underrated. Overrated. Oh, yeah, I know my overrated.
Fuck, you're getting these well better than me. I think all my overrated, there's like probably people would know.
So the overrated, my overrated is Josh Lartowitz. I don't know how he say his name. That's as close as I'm going to get. I don't see the fascination with his physique.
Oh, that's true. You did.
Never have. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. I see why people think it's amazing. But I don't know. There's just something about him. I just look at him and go, I don't see the fuss. Granted, he's a billion times better than me. But I look at his physique and I'm just like, I don't know. That's just not me. What
pro level.
So he's my overrated. I think I've got a few more actually.
I do have an overrated, but it's a total personal opinion, and it's I think Patrick coaches him. What's his name? Is it Joe?
Joe who?
Who's the guy? He's just, I don't want to say it. It's like just body parts like thrown on a physique. What's his name? Is it Little Joe? Joe something?
Oh, Little John. He's coached by Patrick Shearer.
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it's just like, I don't like it.
He's like Josh. I see why people think he's good, but
if you looked at certain body parts, and you're like, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. It's like altogether, like, nah.
Shit. Yeah, that's how I
don't see it molding, but like if you put if you look at his legs, just his legs, like fuck, they're deep cuts, they're big. Then you like just certain things, you pot it all together. It's just like mix match.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That'd be my overrated.
You haven't. I haven't underrated. I'm trying to help him. Underrated. Underrated.
I think Mark Hector.
Yeah, currently, yeah, Mark Hector definitely.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to make waves now though. Like that level of physique can't.
If he can just keep getting bigger and that waist is tight, like holy shit, the proportions are going to be mad.
That's like Ronnie Coleman type shit. Like that. Holy crap! What the fuck's going on? Type.
Yeah. It's like that can't be real.
But we'll do a lifting question. Explain the difference in overhand versus underhand grip for barbell rows, the benefits of each and which you prefer. So I've kind of explained with the injuries one in terms of underhand row. I don't feel that at all in my back. That is all biceps for me, even before I hurt my bicep. And I would not risk doing that now in case I made the bicep tear any worse. That for me, so like an underhand grip, that's as far as I can turn my hands. If you then you're unnaturally putting it in that position and then fixing it as well if you've got straps. So you're pulling almost in an unnatural position.
Yeah.
So the underhand row to me, I give to a few clients.
I would only give it to beginners.
That's
because their flexibility is there. Like I legit can't turn my wrists up like that.
No,
it would hurt to hell.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I give it to beginners because that motion, because you're feeling the bicep work. I know it's a back exercise, obviously, but allowing a beginner to feel something is better than nothing. Whereas an overhand barbell row, you won't necessarily feel until you have a lot of like skill in contracting the lats, and that. So that's why I give some beginners underhand.
There's only underhand row seated on a cable with a kind of easy type bar, because obviously the bar bends like that, or the bar's kinked like that, so you can actually activate perfectly. That's the only time I would never do it with a bar.
Yeah, definitely.
But the overhand row is just obviously the more generic, basic one. That's like going to build you a lot of thick tissue, and the movement's pretty good for everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, I would always go with an overhand barbell.
Yeah.
Right, we're coming to an hour, so
do a couple more.
Do a couple more.
I did have one about who is it?
Well, since it's the Scottish Silverback podcast, we might as well talk about some Scottish people. So I done a posing session with Jack Gunn Yesterday. I don't know if you saw the post, but he's looking mental. Like, see, when he came on the camera, when he came into the meeting, I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Like, he came to my posing seminar 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and then I was like, Jesus Christ, like, once he nails it, that's going to be something else. Like, he's, honestly, mate, like, I think he looks like Justin Compton. I think when he adds another 50 pounds, he's going to look like Justin Compton.
I think, honestly, that's all he's lacking. He's just lacking the size, the density, and the thickness. The shape is there. Once that shape is going, there's going to be more cuts coming in.
Yeah, I would say. I think I personally think his side chest and side tricep, the size is already there. It's the shots like his front double. I think he needs more arms in that shot and a bit more lat. So, but no, once he puts it all together, that's gonna be pretty terrifying, I'd say. So, I thought I'd give him a wee shootout. I've just refreshed the questions. Oops. A lot of them are just a certain someone taking the piss.
No funny questions.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather fight 1,000 ducks or 1,000 badgers?
No, nothing like that. Just like ones that he knows that I'm not going to say out.
Oh, wait a minute. I had one yesterday. Hold on. Here we go. You both have new coaches since you last stepped on stage. What have you learned so far that is new?
Well, I didn't train like the way Patrick has me training just now, in terms of the clusters and the rest. But I never done rest pause really ever. That was not my thing. I didn't like that kind of thing. That to me, like, it becomes cardio at a point, and that really kind of put me off. But when you see it applied into structure in a plan, like, obviously not doing that through every single exercise, but once you see it applied into some into his like structure and routine, it definitely has its place. So that methodology of training was definitely the kind of one thing I learned from him. But I've also learned kind of obviously we spoke about meal timing not mattering, but when you're at a certain level, it kind of does. And just the way he lays out like what supplements to take at certain times, and you know, it's been quite informative on those levels. And yeah, that's definitely kind of what I learned there. So like taking certain supplements at certain times in order to boost insulin sensitivity and things like that is quite eye-opening. So
see, that I was like to put a point in there actually about like the cluster sets, rest pause sets, stuff like that. I think it's taken over quite a lot of people's training in the last like year. Like, obviously Patrick's became a very popular coach, and people have like really looked into his methodology and what he does, and watch his clients, what they'll do. And I see so many beginners, people with like so little tissue, so little size, and then making it like part of like the whole session. And it's like, honestly, you don't need to do that. This is like for quite advanced people that are like at a limit of what they've been doing training wise, and they need to kind of push a boat out to get more tissue and create more metabolic work and stuff like that. And it's people who are doing it are like 1-2 years deep. Stop doing it. I would honestly stop doing it. If you're going to do it, maybe do one a session max to really fuck yourself up in something like squats. But you need to stop, like, just work through the basics. Do like your, even just like your heavy set and like a deload set to go through the rep ranges. That would be enough volume. But I mean, people really need to like stop trying to take really advanced stuff and put it in like the early stages of their career, because it's just not needed. They're making it far too complicated, and they're just going to burn themselves out. Yeah. And also, they're not structuring it well enough. Like, I've seen clients come to me and to show me their plan. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, that structure's horrendous and everything's a bloody cluster set. And it's like, no wonder you're not growing.
Aye. No, I think, yeah, definitely from a beginner point of view, like, you're learning that execution, you're learning like how to take yourself to the end of your life on a leg press. Like that should be your number one concern. You know, it's all this, like people doing like drop sets and stuff, like that's totally fine. You know what I mean? Like that's that sort of thing. And but yeah, like there's those wee notches of training that some people just haven't tapped into yet, and they're trying to, you know, take 5 steps before they're taking 1. And like we said, like we've spoken about before, is that mentality that just comes with experience. That mentality of putting yourself into a hack and knowing that last rep, like the blood in your head's gonna be fucking so. There's gonna be so much pressure in your head from the blood that you won't be able to hear the music. Like you'll be feeling faint, like you'll like starting to black out in that last rep. That's where you have to take yourself in these.
You be at that point where your head's going, no, don't.
Yeah.
I will not come up. Do not fucking go down. And you're already halfway down. Like I'm fucking getting this shit. That's where you need to be. Like work on that stuff.
I learned to do that first. Yeah.
Rep. But I've like seen like clients make up like they're inventing their own cluster sets. They've just thought, what's a cluster set? And they've read about it like, all right, so you just add reps, wait, do it again, then do it again. People doing like 10, resting for 10, doing another 10, resting for 10, doing another 10. I'm like, Jesus Christ, doing like that on leg extensions, like you're just getting nowhere. You must be absolutely fried. And it's just like, you need to look at how to structure stuff before like doing it yourself. Like just get an idea and running with it.
So this one's directed at me. The pros and cons of training in Dubai. I think we touched on this. We'll probably make this the last one, but unless you've got another one you think is good. Pros: the sun. We don't have any here. Even in summer, you're not asking. You're asking for a lot. Getting a good bit of sun, getting a good bit of vitamin D. 100%. Your recovery is 10 times better when you get a bit of sun. It doesn't have to be sunbathing, just having the sun on your face, walking to the gym or getting a car and going to the gym. The difference it makes in your recovery is insane. I could not believe how quickly I was recovering, because my routine at home is on point to the gram every day, same time. So it's very easy for me to gauge like subtle changes, and that subtle change of being in that heat and that sun made a huge difference to my recovery. You can't replicate that with like a sunbed or anything like that. So that was definitely the biggest pro, was that the sun allowed my recovery without a doubt to be 10 times better. Con of training in Dubai. Maybe I was just shopping in the wrong places, but I hated the quality and the texture of the meat and the protein sources. There was something not right about it. I don't know if like people there would agree, or the fact they've just been there longer and kind of got used to it. But there was something about the protein sources. I was like, nah, I could not do this year round. I think we are spoiled, especially Scottish meat. You know, like Scottish chicken, Scottish fish, Scottish beef. That is like the shit. That is like the best of gear. In Dubai, like some of it was just a bit like, oh, this is kind of manky. Like you almost question, like we're in the middle. I know they get shipped in, but like you're in the middle of the desert. How the fuck are you getting chicken breast onto? Do you know what I mean? It's just, you think of it that way, and I'm like, so that was definitely the biggest con. What else did I not like about Dubai? Depends what gym you're in. So everyone obviously goes to Beano's and like and go for Instagram and that. The kit's good. I couldn't be there all the time though. It was just a bit too influencer for me. It was a bit too like not a hardcore environment. Even though it's a bodybuilding gym, it wasn't my kind of hardcore. I wouldn't say it's a massive con, but it's not. It definitely wasn't my kind of place. There's Train SF, that was my kind of place. Like all hammer strength, Atlantis, that was all dynamite stuff. So was kind of more my kind of place. But
so now, the people that are still there, you can see they're veering to other gyms.
Mm-hmm.
You see kind of what you're just saying, it's probably got a bit too much, and they're actually looking for a bit more quiet, a bit better kit.
Like Beano's is like when you go into, you're like, fuck, this is just like everything you thought it would be. Like you see guys like who've got like millions of followers like walking right by you, training next to you and that. But the novelty kind of goes like, I think it was like the 2-week mark for me. I was like, nah, I don't want to be here. And then we went to train SF, went to another gym as well. So, but those for me is like my pro, my con, and kind of like my in between one. So
yeah.
Have you got another one?
I get another one. Benefits of how and when to use a deload week.
Right. So, do I run through this one first?
A deload for me, I mean, if you're doing it properly, I think you need to communicate very well with your coach. So that involves your appetite, how you're feeling, your recovery, just your performance, and like even your mindset going into the gym. So when that all starts to dip, and your performance is kind of, you're not even wanting to get under the squat bar, like you're looking at the stuff you do, you're like, oh my fucking god, I don't want to do this shit. Because you should be feeling like that, you should be ready to attack that set. So I think that's time when you really need to incorporate a deload week.
Yeah.
But obviously the biggest thing for us is just the appetite. Once my appetite goes, like I need to get that food down. So when I'm like my CNS is totally fried, like I just don't want to eat. Like after every leg day, I have to lie on the sofa and just like mong out. I can't eat. It takes me hours to eventually get the courage to go in the kitchen.
Yeah. Number one for me is that I kind of get to a point where I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm going into the session. I get the session done, and I do beat my numbers and that, but I walk in and I don't want to be here. That's when I know like a deload is needed. I notice like things like my hips. That's usually the first one that kind of indicates to me, right, I need to pull back a wee bit. Obviously the bicep. When it starts becoming chronic issues, that's when I need to pull back. So the appetite for me, I don't know, my appetite never really kind of dips too bad when I'm approaching the point where I need a deload. But for me, it's a motivation and a mental kind of red flags that tell me that I need to pull back. And once I reset, once I've done, well, this past one I've done 4 weeks. Once that 4 weeks, I was going crazy. By the end of that 4 weeks, I was like, I need to get back to the training I was doing before. I need to go back to do my volume. So that's when I knew I was reset and ready to go. Even if my body wasn't quite like, I was still suffering a wee bit with the tendon, the bicep and that. So, excuse me. And but those are kind of my indicators for deloads. So
everybody's different. I mean, some people can go months and months and months, maybe longer, fucking without a deload. But it's been 8 weeks working with Jordan, and I'm way doing my second deload. Like, I think I was into the 3rd week of his programming, and just because it was new, there was a lot of heavy movements, like precise, it just fucked me up. I was literally coming home from the gym and I was twitching, like my CNS was just like fried, and I was like, my appetite was just gone. And it was just like, right, straight away, got to do this. And a week later, felt great. Now, I think it was like 5 weeks or 4 weeks now, I could feel those same feelings coming on. So I wanted to catch it before I got into that state where I'm like, I can't do this. There was one day I walked into the gym to do legs, and I literally got under the squat bar, which today I done like 220. I think I got under there with 140, and I didn't even want to get it off the stock. So I picked it up and went, fuck this, put it back on. I just did not want to go down and come back up.
Yeah.
Just like I knew, I was like, I just couldn't do it more. So I just sat and didn't finish the session. It would have probably been bad. I probably would have done something to hurt myself. So I wanted to catch that because that was a horrible feeling. So you really need to look out for the telltale signs.
As soon as you have that mindset where it's like half-arsed, that's when injuries happen. That's when you don't tense as hard on the way down on a squat, or you're not controlling the negative and whatever exercise. That's when kind of bad things can happen. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there because that's been an hour. I don't want to kind of bore people further.
Not push it too much.
Yeah. So hopefully, if anyone's got to this point of the podcast, that they've enjoyed the podcast. So we're going to stick this up on YouTube, so on its own dedicated channel. So remember to subscribe to the channel and follow myself and Greg on Instagram. I'm AMS Muscle on Instagram, and Greg's Scottish Titan 1. So that's why I'm staring down, because I didn't know if it was a 1 or anything at the end. So yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to DM us or email us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And
we're hopefully doing this once a week. And obviously, as we said, we've got as soon as the gym's open, probably hope for like maybe the first day or the first week to get a new Scottish Silverback session in and get that up as well.
And guys, remember that me and Greg are going to be competing each other. So what other, top British super heavyweights are going to be chatting away like this week to week and showing you the ins and outs of what we're doing. So be sure to kind of keep up with what we're doing, and we'll be sure to kind of keep you in the loop with what we're doing.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. If you got to this point in the podcast, thank you very much.
Next one.
We'll speak to you soon.
See you later.